So good evening, guys. This is Kay Crean. She runs this B&B where we have been staying. So she will just give us a review about or an overview about how a B&B works and how has she been going with it since so many years. So we'll see what she has to say.
Okay, my name is Kay. I moved here in 1996 with my three children who were quite young at the time, 13, 10 and 7.
From there?
13, 10 and 7. We moved from southwest Wexford, a place called Carriganbano. We lived on a farm there, and due to family circumstances I needed to move, and we moved to here. We bought this house in 1996 and it was a smaller version then, and since 1996 we've had builders in 4 times. Now I haven't had builders in for the last 10 years and I'll never want to see a builder again. But basically what attracted me to the house was the wall and the garden. The wall is here. The house next door is 300 years old, and the wall was here before the house. So I don't know the origin of the wall, but I know the wall is more than the wall that surrounds the premises is more than 300 years old.
Okay.
I moved here in 1996, and after 2 years we built on this sunroom because our dining room was too small. And in 1999 I think we put on an extension, so because when I moved here only 2 of the rooms were en suite. There were 7 bedrooms but 2 were en suite.
Okay.
So in 1999 I think we did a big job, and we made a private part for ourselves, private sitting room and a bigger kitchen. We built more bedrooms, but we made all the bedrooms en suite.
Okay.
And then about 11-12 years ago we built a new kitchen, new living area for ourselves. The business has been good.
And have this business been running from 1996?
Yes.
So
I bought this house from a lady who was here she was running a B&B. She built the house.
Okay.
This was an old orchard.
Okay.
This was an old orchard. Kilran House is the house in front. Okay. And this was the orchard of Kilran House.
Okay.
If you go back 60 years ago, it was a very busy place. They had very exotic vegetables. They had lovely beds to sow them in, and they were surrounded by box hedges, so they were very sheltered, and they sowed all their fruit and veg, and they canned it. They had their own canning system. This is going back 60 years ago, and they canned their fruit and vegetables, so they had enough produce for themselves for the winter. And the house next door, my neighbour Moggy and Toddy lived there, and that's built in the tennis court of Kilran House. So this was the orchard, and next door was the tennis court. Some years ago these sites were sold off.
So whoever owned Kilran House was rich enough.
No, the people that own Kilran House were Murphy's, and he's an uncle of the man who owns the big supermarket in the harbour. But he had a very good store there. Many years ago, before supermarkets came, shops sold everything, including feed for cattle everything. Eggs, people would have dropped the produce in, meat, everything. So they were Kilran stores, and it was a very busy spot. So now it's just it was a guest house, now it's a private house. So I'm here that many years. I'm here 24 years now this year. I reared my children here. My children grew up with it. They liked it. They never knew anything else. And I still have one living with me again, but she's moving out shortly because she bought her own house. And my daughter and grandchildren, and my son and grandchildren, they come to visit me regularly and regularly looking for beds. So business has been good down through the years. In 2008 we had a bad recession in Ireland, the worst recession ever, and things got tough. Even though my kids were educated at the time, I found it very hard to make a living, to keep the place, to pay the bills. So I actually trained as a carer, and I worked in a nursing home over 4 years, part-time, as well as running the B&B. So it was a bit exhausting, but it worked because it got me out of the recession. And now COVID came, and COVID closed me for the first time ever. I opened all year round, and I've been closed from about the 15th of March until the 29th of June.
And how did you feel comparing to the recession, which was
I don't know yet, because we're only open to now a month, and we don't know. People are saying we're going to go. I don't think we're gone into recession yet, because our government has been very good. Everybody that was stopped working, they gave what's called the COVID payment.
Oh, yeah.
So I got the COVID payment of €350 a week.
Oh, that's great.
So that was a great help.
Okay.
Not enough to pay all the bills,
Oh, yes,
but I
of
paid
course.
the insurance and I paid some big bills. So that stopped me going deeply into debt.
Okay.
So I opened back up again on the 29th of June. The first week was very quiet, but since then business is good and it's
Great.
getting busier and busier.
Great.
The change, the difference in the clientele I have now than before COVID. Before COVID, 90% of my guests came from the ferry, came and went to the ferry port.
Oh, yeah.
So they stayed overnight. More of them stayed overnight before traveling, or they came off the boat and they stayed with me. I got a lot of families in the summer, and on the shoulder periods then, spring, autumn, you get a lot of the older couples. People that would have holidays in Ireland, or people
Oh, yeah.
visiting family
Yeah,
in Ireland.
yeah, yeah.
So the difference is now I'm having the Irish. But what's amazing me is that I've so many, what I call people living in Ireland, but born outside the country, like me. And it's just amazing me. I'd say half my guests at the moment, a lot of them are here from India, but they're coming from Poland, from all the Eastern European countries, and all over the world. People living in Ireland, I think they can't go home to their homelands this summer,
That's right.
so they're coming.
And what do you think about the online booking system? And previously, what was your method of booking?
Before people rang me, I'm a member of an organisation called B&B Ireland for 24 years, and they had a system that through them they book vouchers, and there was voucher system, and I get a list in the post once a week, all the rooms that were booked, and people paid you by vouchers or paid you by cash.
Okay.
Online is probably about 10 years.
Okay.
Now, the online is good, but the commission is very difficult, because B&B would pay VAT, because when you go above a certain threshold, you have to pay VAT. But the B&B is the only income in this house.
Yes.
So I have to work very hard and take in a lot of money. And when you go over 37,500, you pay VAT. VAT is at 13.5% at the moment. And the very unfair thing about it is, a lot of the B&Bs are not paying VAT. But I can't charge more money because I'm paying VAT. I can't tell you I'm paying VAT, so I'm charging you more.
Yeah.
The commission for Booking.com is 15%, which is a lot. So if you add the 15%, the 13.5%, I pay 27.5% out of every booking that comes in here before I pay my insurance, my food, my wage bill, everything else. 27, everything that comes through Booking.com, I pay 13.5% to the government in tax, and I pay the 15% to Booking.com, which is a lot of money.
Yes, that's
and
true.
And it looks like that I take in a lot of money, but there's a huge amount going out to do with that.
Oh, yes,
The government now has, from the 1st of August, they are going to cut the VAT rate by 2%, but the VAT rate was 9.5%, and they put it up to 13% 2 years ago, and now they're bringing it down by 2%, which is not a lot, because the UK have cut theirs to 0 for the rest of the year.
Okay.
So that's a big gap, yeah.
Okay. So how did you advertise yourself before the Booking.com?
Before the Booking.com, I've always probably had a website. Originally, I would have been in the phone book. Now this sounds mad, and there was a book called The Golden Pages.
Oh, yes.
And that's really how we advertised. That's really how we advertised, and I still had a very good business. But everybody had to pick up the phone if they wanted to go on holidays and go down through the hotels and ring. That's originally how it was. I mean, the booking system is good, but the commission is very difficult.
Okay.
And it is easier now, because I remember over the summers nearly losing my voice because I was permanently on the phone. And in those days, you didn't have mobile phones. You had to be at the house phone.
Oh, yes.
You were permanently on the phone. And when you're talking on the phone, even like what I'm talking here now, you are straining your voice more. And I used to lose my voice a lot during the summer from talking on the phone. But now you just sit down in the morning after breakfast and you take down your bookings. Now when I'm finished here in the evening, you go and you sort your bookings. So you're permanently, you spend a lot of time, I find, on the laptop now. I could easily spend 2 hours a day sorting bookings, answering emails and things. Now I do have a website which is not very up to date, but people do contact me via the website. And
Okay.
what's really good is, and I try to tell everybody this, that if you go into any booking engine, whatever it is, and you find the name of a B&B and you like the reviews, I advise that you go back into Google, you put in the name, put in the telephone number, ring the person directly, and you'll always get a better deal, because myself are paying the commission, and naturally, if I can get you direct,
Oh yeah, of course.
I can give it to you cheaper. So
right.
I try to tell people that, to just Google the name.
Yes, that's going to be a new information for people like us.
Yeah.
Because we thought that booking.com would be the easiest way to come into you.
Well, it's the easiest for you, but I try to tell people, when people find me, I can continually say to them, if you're coming back the next time, please come back directly to me.
Yeah.
Ring me or send me an email, and I'll answer it and I'll tell you. And often what I do when I get an email, I often ring people, because often people have different requests. They might have children, some people bring dogs. I have one room downstairs in particular with a patio door, and if people bring a dog, they can bring the dog in just at night time.
Yeah.
So it's good to talk to the people, because when I talk to people, I know their needs, or they might have dietary needs and things like that.
Oh, yes,
So sometimes a little chat on the phone is better.
Okay, that's great to know, because I think most of us never knew that. We thought you might be committed with booking.com.
No.
Where you can never take
No.
another booking. Okay.
No.
That's great to know. Is somebody coming to inspect it to see that you have the changes here, or do you have the sanitizing system and all that?
No.
Is something there like that?
Yeah, I did a few online. We had a chart, and we had to do all the changes for that.
Okay.
And we had to come back then and say we have made the changes.
Where is that charter coming from?
From Fáilte Ireland, which are the Irish Tourist Board.
Okay.
They said we kept getting guidelines, and the guidelines changed as time went on.
Okay.
And so we had the charter, and we had to go through that, and that's really Fáilte Ireland gave us our guidelines, and they're the guidelines we went on. And some of the guidelines where they'd recommend something, you didn't have to do it.
Okay.
And
it's just a plus or bonus, like
something like they recommended we'd take the tea making facilities out of the bedrooms.
So just to ask you about, if a person would like to start a B&B, what would be the very important tips that you would like to give?
You certainly would not be afraid of work. You have to know that you could be working before the COVID thing. A lot of my guests went on the boat, so I started breakfast most mornings at 6:30. But many a night I've answered that doorbell at 9:30, 10:30, 11 o'clock. People are coming back to the boat, they're leaving their families, so they're late coming in. But the same people might want breakfast at 6:30 in the morning, so it's a long day. There was a time that people retired and they bought houses to do B&B and thinking, oh, it's an easy job. But it's not easy, because regulations, I'm with Fáilte Ireland for the last 24 years, and I've been inspected every second year. So, and those things have changed through the years, criteria and that. So you are kept on your toes, but you don't need Fáilte Ireland. Reviews is what keeps you on your toes, because if people are not happy, they put up a review. That's what I always say. If you want to know what my B&B is like, go in and look at the reviews, and then you'll know. Now, sometimes you will get an odd bad one, but I think when you read through them, you'll see that we're doing our best. So that's what it's about, really. As regards to, I don't know that the younger generation, my children would not take over this if I handed it to them on a plate, because they know
how hard it
is. But I like it, and I do like it. But I might take more time out now. After the COVID, I've enjoyed the time out. And next, from going forward, I will, not in summer months I won't, but in the off seasons I might take more time out, hopefully. But the garden we do ourselves, and my son is a carpenter and he does a lot of bits and pieces as well. So the family are a huge help, to be honest with you, and they help with IT. But they do help.
They do help, Mommy.
They do help.
It's a very fantastic garden, to be honest. You are maintaining it very well, really very well. Yes, from the gate, it's welcoming. That's the main important thing. But because we have just seen the pictures, we didn't know what was it like when you come in. So when we reached the gate, it was just calling us. Yes,
Yeah.
you're welcome. Come in. That was the way how it was
Lovely.
presented.
Yeah.
And as you know, we had booked only for one night,
Yeah.
but then we booked for the second
Good,
night.
good.
That's because of the standards. To be honest.
Thank you very much.
To be honest.
Thank you. Yeah.
Very honestly to say, we liked it very much, and that's what we changed our plans, and then we thought we'll stay for just the sight of it itself is fantastic.
Yeah.
You know, it really catches us.
Yeah, I enjoyed the garden here myself for the 3.5 months I had it on my own. So much so that when I retire from this, I'll probably sell this property because it's too big and I'll have to move to something smaller.
Oh yeah.
And during the time off in COVID, I got very attached to the garden. I loved it. It is a bit wild.
But you know, that adds the beauty, I would say.
Yeah, we've a lot of bees and a lot of wildlife in the garden.
It's really into the nature, I'd say.
Yeah.
So please don't go with all the
No, so I think we're going to leave it as it is.
Yes. Thank you so much, Kate, for
Thank
that.
you. I hope I didn't go on too much.
Oh,
Oh,
no,
no,
that's
no,
all
no,
right.
no.
We can manage all that.
Thank you, girls.
Thank you so much.